I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk this morning about something that comes up frequently that we've talked about before, but it's dealing with loss, dealing with a painful, emotionally painful loss. You know, the metaphor that's been around for, I'm sure, centuries is heartbreak. For the pain of loss, breakups, abandonment, whatever. I mean, because we literally can feel it in the chest. We can literally feel physically that heartbreak, that sense of the heart region really responding to that experience. And we've all experienced it in our lives, and we'll experience it again at some point. I mean, it's an unavoidable part of this human journey. And it's so painful that our first impulse is to push it away, distract ourselves, run away from it, whatever. I mean, if when I was putting these thoughts together, I was thinking about that first teenage breakup with a boyfriend or girlfriend. I mean, it's just, you just feel like you just want to die. I mean, it's so painful. It's so heartbreaking. I can remember it as if it were yesterday. That saying, or it's a lyric from a song, I think the first cut is the deepest, that first heartache, whatever it was. And sometimes for a child, it's the loss of a parent, I mean, if a parent dies or there's a divorce, I mean, it's truly a heartbreak. And, modern neuroscience tells us that the emotional suffering that we experience lights up the same part of the brain as when we have physical pain. I mean, it is that profound. The brain experiences a heartbreak the same way it experiences, a physical injury. So when we've been abandoned or rejected, we don't want to sleep. I mean, we don't want to eat. We can't sleep. Our breathing becomes shallow. We feel as if we have the flu or that we've been run over by a truck. The suffering is unavoidable at that time. It's just that acutely painful. But the question then is, how much of it is the second arrow? How much of it is what we tell ourselves about the loss, about the pain? Because that's a big chunk of it. What is the truth that exists beyond the stories about what happened and why? We have this elaborate narrative that we created, why the person left, or why the boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with us, or why the person left our life, or someone went away. And our challenge then, in terms of the practice, excuse me, is to meet this pain in a conscious and clear way. And as we always do, we start with the body. Okay, where is it? Where are we feeling it? Well, as I said, we're often feeling it in the heart region, but we could feel it anywhere. We could just feel sick. We could just feel physically ill. Okay, and so can we just be with it? Can we breathe into it? Can we meet it, embrace it as much as we want it to stop? The pain of our losses, are we able to grow in this capacity to embrace all experience fully and completely, including this incredibly painful experience of loss? Can we bring self-compassion to it? Can we feel compassion for ourselves when we're suffering? Often when we're feeling a loss, we tend to beat ourselves up like, oh, what's wrong with me? Or why did they leave? Or I shouldn't be feeling this. Or, I'm so weak. I'm so incapable of coping with this. All of this second arrow kind of self-judgment. Because what we need when we've experienced a profound loss is self-compassion. We need to go to the body and feel it. And we need to develop out of that the confidence and trust that the next time it happens, we have some tools, we have some capability to weather it, to remind ourselves that the experience, as awful as it is impermanent. Time is a great healer, as we all know, when we suffer a loss. We remind ourselves that throughout history, countless others have suffered in this way and gotten through it. We have gotten through other losses. We too will get through this loss. We are better able to hold the pain of a broken heart if we respond to it skillfully. You know, and I'm gonna single somebody out here again today, but when Nancy Elizabeth lost Shakti, her dog, you know, the skillfulness with which she managed that. Of course, it was excruciating. Of course, it was painful, but she really, you know, showed us how in her description of that, you know, how to be present with a profound loss. And doing that and witnessing that in others helps us realize that our pain and grief won't overwhelm us, will lessen with time, that we can respond to it with self-compassion. We can be open to it. We don't have to run from it. As hard as it is, it's part of the full complexity, the full range of human experience. And there's no more experience in our lives where the practice is relevant and applicable than it is to the experience of loss, whatever form that loss might take. Losing a pet, losing a loved one, losing our vision. Where's Don's here somewhere? You know, all of these things ask us to meet it head on, to be with it, and acknowledge its impermanence, bring self-compassion, seek others out, bring it to Sangha, bring it to community to get comfort and support. All the tools that we talk about here are the tools that we need when we experience a significant loss in our lives. So I want to stop there and get your thoughts about it and your experiences and just sort of what comes to mind. So let me get rid of that.
Jeff, I think for me, it's especially with the loss of a pet, our last pet, Sophie, it wasn't only the sadness and the hurt, but there was a level of guilt. Like, could I have done more? Even though she was loved and cared for, and, you know, it was, that part was as difficult for me as the actual loss of having her, you know, pass.
Such a good point, Bill. That's so often part of it when that's the kind of loss. When we lose someone or a pet or something very dear to us, is the guilt. And again, that, you know, I think that is part of what we have to sit with. You know, it's part of the second arrow very often. It's part of the story we tell ourselves. I shoulda, coulda, woulda done more. You know, when someone has to, for instance, with a loved one, make the decision to remove life support, that is such a huge part of that experience. You know, the guilt about finally saying, okay,